This is Bimbo Bookshelf, a podcast focused on books, literature, and love of learning. Each episode is hosted by two friends, Brittany and Sophia, and occasionally includes co-hosts, interviews, and listener voicemails. Join us on the never-ending wormhole of books and topics that pique our interest, and reach out to us through Instagram DMs or email at bimbobookshelf@gmail.com to be part of the conversation.
Hi, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Sophia.
In this mini-sode, we're going to be jumping into the conversation on how and why the book club came about and what you can expect from the podcast. Bimbo Bookshelf started in January 2022 as an online book club via Instagram. As the club has grown, so have my aspirations of what it can become. Being an online book club on an app, discussions have mainly been limited to text interactions and live streams, which I genuinely struggle with. The mission of the book club is to open our minds to new books and old that maybe wouldn't have crossed our paths before. Our hope is to interact and converse with people who can further enrich our exploration of learning through reading by bringing different perspectives to the discussion. When I first started this book club, it started as just a way to keep myself accountable to reading. I thought, I spend way too much time online, looking at memes, checking Instagram. But if I'm trying to bring other people into the conversation, that kind of puts an accountability on me to finish reading the books. And I've always enjoyed having conversations with my friend Sophia about the books that I read because we tend to be interested in a lot of similar topics.
That's a perfect segue. And Brittany covered a lot of the same feelings that I have about accountability and trying to read more. For me, as someone coming into this conversation with to you as why isn't the book club a podcast? That has to do with widening the conversation, particularly surrounding books or topics that otherwise might not get full voice in our current cultural zeitgeist. And I love the name. I think it was really clever and fun. And you can definitely talk a little bit more about why that came about or what that means. But I think, at least for me, I mispronounce words a lot. I'll get that out of there in the introduction. I was a formerly homeschooled kid. So I learned a lot of the things that I know now through reading. And I think it's interesting how both this sense of being dumb and maybe the sense of feeling like a newborn baby to the world, it actually feeds my desire for learning. And I know that's something you can relate to having a similar background.
Yeah, that's really kind of the thought behind the name. I feel like a lot of the topics that interest me that I want to learn more about, I don't know anything about them. And sometimes continuously coming at things from a total beginner's perspective, feeling like a newborn baby about it, it's overwhelming. Some of the topics that we've talked about and discussed here, people have spent their entire lives and careers reading on and studying. But there's so many topics like that that interest us. I think it's just important to remind people no matter where you're at, you can always get started with learning or reading. Just start reading something. You don't have to know everything about your topic to be interested in learning more. And you don't have to set out to understand everything about it to just learn a little and have an understanding. Not to mention how many times in life and online people make you feel like you shouldn't have shared your opinion, that you're wrong or misguided. So I'm just going to beat you to the punch here and let you know it's a bimbo's perspective, and we're talking about all the things. I've spent a lot of my life questioning myself before I speak or wondering if I should even bother with educating myself on some topics that were for other people or for smart people. Bimbo Bookshelf is a safe place for people who have ever been made to feel that way. We're here to take the airhead rap for you and share what we learn along the way.
I feel like you said it. We oftentimes feel like we can't have something to say or that somebody has to be an expert in order to discuss something. So I think that right off the bat, and we're acknowledging we're not experts. Don't trust us.
Yeah.
We're very much trying to learn about the world around us, both through our explorations with reading, our conversations, and this podcast. And I hope that listeners know that we're in the trenches with them.
Yeah, and one thing I really love about this book club is that it's been a great sounding board for learning through reading. I get a hell of a lot more out of a book here than when I read alone. I've met some great people that I'm sure I wouldn't have otherwise. And we've had some really interesting conversations around all different kinds of subjects, the books and different topics that have spawned off from them. It's like a rabbit hole of reading and community.
I love that. And one thing that I noted was, or at least wanted to talk about in this introduction, is I can definitely be a bit evangelical about a book when it has a big impact on me. But that also leads to really revealing and enlightening discussions with friends and other folks that I recommend books to. So it's my hope that this is an outlet for some of that energy and excitement from me, and that others find it helpful and intellectually stimulating, or at the very least, they feel a little bit less alone.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know us, Sophia and I have had a long and interesting friendship. We met each other as kids in a religious cult, and now we're here doing a virtual book club podcast. I think because of our background, we have a great connection in the way that we relate to books and self education through reading. And our interest in a lot of same topics makes it fun to discuss together. A few years ago, Sophia gifted me an older book that I definitely would not have picked up on my own, and it changed my relationship with reading. I hope that our efforts here can do that for some of you as well. Besides talking about books here and online, it's also our goal to be able to provide more access to books and learning, to encourage people to generate their own conversations with people in their sphere, and to be able to give away books and other materials to our followers and within our local community.
And on the podcast, we'll be splitting each book that we cover up into two-part episodes where we have conversations about both the book's highlights and themes, as well as diving into the author's background and their other literary works. We'll also be releasing side quest episodes where we cover other topics, host guest speakers, and talk on issues of all kinds.
The following themes and topics are included, but not limited to: anthropology, comedy, sociology, ecology, all ologies, history, occult, philosophy, spirituality, social issues, policy, politics, theory, and world religions.
Above all else, this is a community for people who enjoy rabbit holes of reading, and we can't wait to hear the topics thrown our way.
Follow us along on Instagram at BimboBookshelf to join in and interact with us throughout the week. To vote on podcast episode topics, ask questions, submit reviews, and participate in member interviews. We hope you're here to stay.
Welcome to the Book Bowl.